Welcome to First Page Fridays. I'm April Davila for Sit Right Here, and today we're going to read somebody's first page. I haven't read it yet. It's going to be new to both of us, and then we're going to just do a live edit of it. We're going to look at what works, what could be better, and we're all going to learn along the way. So that's what we're doing today. If you would like to submit your first page for a free review, there's a link below this video. You can click there to submit your first page and have it appear on my YouTube channel here, where I will give you my very best feedback. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I would encourage you to like and subscribe if you are a writer, if you are learning the ropes. It's so good to learn along with other writers. So even if I'm not looking at your page today, following along and learning from what other people are learning, it's such a good way to learn. So let's jump into it. We're going to start at the top, read it through, and then we'll come back up and start editing. Again, this is my first time reading it through too, so I apologize if I mispronounce names. I'll do my best. Okay, 16 years ago, they accused me of murder. 5 days later, I left town. Until tonight, I believed it was for good. A full moon silhouettes the house I once called home and conceals me in its shadow. Standing in the dark, I'm overcome by a profound sense of loss. Nothing holds me here anymore. I am an untethered balloon. The face of McKinley Logan House is hidden from me except for small patches illuminated through a lacy shroud, tattered by the streetlights shining through fall leaves. I need no further light to remember every detail of her Victorian facade, from the wraparound front porch to the fish scale shingles on the conical roof of the three-story turret. The happiest years of my childhood, and my saddest, are painted on the interior walls of this once lovely, now tired, old queen. It's an empty shell without my grandmother, the one constant in my life. Granny Grace no longer holds the delicate thread that anchored me to this place. There's no one to turn on the lamp in the front hall to welcome me home safely at night. All right, some lovely details here. First thing I would do is, I don't know why this is like center justified. I would make this a right justify, and I don't know why you have a line break here. Is this meant to be like a little mini prologue? I don't think I wouldn't separate it from the rest of the story. I would use it. It's a great opening here. 16 years ago, they accused me of murder. 5 days later, I left town. Until tonight, I believed it was for good. That's a great opening. I want to know, like, did you do it? I mean, you say they accused me of murder, so I'm going to assume you think yourself innocent. And then 5 days later, you left town. Until tonight, I believed it was for good. Okay, so until tonight lands us in tonight. So I would take this out. You are bringing us into the story with until tonight, I believed it was for good. A full moon silhouettes the house I once called home. Okay, so I'm picturing full moon behind this house I once called home and conceals me in its shadow. So you're standing in front of it. Standing in the dark, okay, the shadow of the house, I am overcome by a profound sense of loss. Nothing holds me here anymore. I am an untethered balloon. I like that. Okay, so let's see. I am picturing, there's opportunity right here. You get to it later of talking about like the Victorian facade and Queen. I'm assuming that's a reference to the Queen Victorian era. Let's see here. I wonder if you could get that in here. A full moon silhouettes the old Victorian house I once called home and conceals me in its shadow. So the way I'm picturing this is that you're standing like pretty much right in front of the house, right? There's some opportunity here to elaborate that on a little bit, because right now, like, are you on a sidewalk? Is this like, are we out in the country somewhere? Because if you're standing in the dark looking up at a house, like say in San Francisco, famous for its old Victorians, then you could be like any passerby, and it wouldn't seem so odd that you have stopped to stare up at this house. If it's a house that's like out in the middle of nowhere, in the country, and you have like come out to this place, that's a different story. So I wonder if you could get a little bit of the details in here of where you're standing in the dark and always opportunities here for details here, right? Like broken pavement of the sidewalk. And I'm making assumptions. I mean, If it's not a city, then you would want to put like at the end of a long dirt path I'd traveled all day. Like, did you walk? Did you drive? Like, there's some details you can get in there. Standing in the dark on the broken pavement of the sidewalk, I'm overcome by a profound sense of loss. Nothing holds me here anymore. I'm an untethered balloon. Okay, so we know that you left 16 years ago and that you have presumably just come back tonight because you didn't think you would come back. So you might save this nothing holds me here anymore. We kind of already know that. I do like the untethered balloon as an image, but like I'm just gonna kind of put a pin in this for right now, maybe come back, see if it needs to be pushed down a little bit. Because one of the things about the first page is limited real estate, right? So we don't want to say anything twice. We want to really use every line to guide our readers into the story. Okay, the face of McKinley Logan House is hidden. Oh, okay, right. So this is I would just get this up here. A full moon silhouettes the old, I wonder if you could say silhouettes the McKinley Logan House. An old Victorian I once called home. Like, you could get all of this in one sentence. And we kind of know that the face is hidden from you, except for small patches illuminated. Yeah. So this is all description, and I would put it in that first paragraph. A full moon silhouettes like makes a silhouette of McKinley Logan House, the old Victorian I once called home. And then maybe just getting in here, getting up. Yeah, that might be too much. A full moon makes a silhouette of McKinley Logan House, the old Victorian I once called home. Small patches are so I would put small patches of the facade are illuminated through a lacy shroud. Okay, so here's the tricky part here. If a full moon is making a silhouette of the house, if it's like meaning that the house is like a dark shape against the moon, then there's no way that moonlight is coming through lacy leaves to illuminate the front of it. So that's a bit of just like an actual like logistical thing. But assuming if you're in a city, you could say patches of the street, or you could say the street light illuminates the facade. I'm getting a little lost in here. Okay, the street light illuminates, or the facade is illuminated. By a street light. Let's see. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is combine these two paragraphs so you can bring us into the description of the house kind of all in one shot. So full moon makes a silhouette of McKinley Logan House, the old Victorian I once called home. The facade is illuminated by a street light. Let's say here, the details. What did you say? Yes, okay. So like the wraparound front porch and fish scale shingles. The facade is illuminated by. How do we do this? Let me think for a second. Okay, I think I would do something like I stand in the dark on the broken pavement of the sidewalk. Dark on the broken pavement of the sidewalk. At the facade, which is illuminated by streetlight. Yeah, because you need another source of light if the moon is behind the house. I'm going to make this come down for a second here. We've gotten that it's the McKinley house. You might even say I stand in the dark pavement staring up the facade of the street light. You could say dappled light. Nah, we already talked about the light. I need no further, you could say, instead of I need no further light, you could just say something like I don't need to get any closer. I mean, I'm going to leave it as this. I need no further light to remember every detail of her Victorian facade from the wraparound. And we've already said Victorian. So you might say her delicate facade from the wraparound front porch to fish scale shingles on the conical roof of the 3-story turret. I have overcome by profound sense of loss. Okay, so then we get into, so you can see how, like, if we put all the description together, then we can let this statement of I am overcome by a profound sense of loss transition us into this idea of like remembering the childhood. So we move through the description. And we've already said that I'm going to stand by my earlier statement of we've already said that you've been gone. Nothing has held you here because we know you've been gone. The untethered balloon speaks to like a slightly larger idea, but I don't think it belongs right here. So the happiest years of my childhood and my saddest are painted on the interior walls of this once lovely, now tired old queen. It's an empty shell without my grandmother, the one constant in my life. Granny Grace no longer holds the delicate thread that anchored me to this place. So again, this was another, it's very similar to like nothing holds me anymore. So now would be a third time. But I actually think that it works here. So you say you've left. You don't need to say it here on the second paragraph, but then you can say Granny Grace no longer holds the delicate thread that anchored me to this place. There's no one to turn on the lamp in the front hall to welcome me home safely at night. So I think that works nicely as a transition. You have that wonderful first line that grabs the attention. 16 years ago, they accused me of murder. 5 days later, I left town. Until tonight, I believed it was for good. A full moon makes a silhouette of McKinley Logan House, the old Victorian I once called home. I stand in the dark on the broken pavement of the sidewalk. Again, and you might even, this is an opportunity to actually get the city in. I mean, you have space here, right? You're asking good questions, like what happened to Granny Grace? Why were you accused of murder? Like you've got the question part of the first page down. This is definitely intriguing. I definitely want to know more. Then you have the bit of the description, which is really good. And the opportunity here is to give us a little more context, right? Is there a way for you to tell us who is speaking? We don't know if they're male or female. We don't know if they're old or young. I mean, they're presumably at least probably like 20 years old. If they were accused of murder and have been gone for 16 years, they had to have been at least 4. They're probably more like 25, maybe even 35 years old. But can you give us a hint? Can you give us a hint of what city or even what part of the world? If it is San Francisco, maybe you could layer in some fog here. Stand in the dark, thick fog all around. The broken pavement, but if the fog's too thick, you wouldn't be able to see the full moon. So take care with that. You could just say it like I stand in the dark on the broken pavement of the sidewalk of San Francisco, staring up at the facade, which is illuminated by streetlight. So we know it's nighttime. It does seem like the house is totally abandoned. But I think, I mean, this is a solid first page. The only thing I would add is, can you find some ways to tell us who's talking? I think that's the only thing that's really missing. And then the opportunities of what city are you in? How old are they? What do they look like? Are they male or female? These are things that are tricky to get in, but especially when you're in first person, it's worthwhile. It's kind of the tricky part that we do as writers of dropping little hints for our readers. So they accuse me of murder. You could say something like, they accuse me of murdering my husband. Now, the assumption would be that is a woman talking about her husband. It could also be a man, but at least you're starting to drop hints, right? 5 days later, I left town, and until tonight, I believed it was for good. Yeah. A full moon makes silhouette of old Victorian I once called home. You could say that I called home until that again, I'm just going to play with this a little bit. I am making things up. So of course, your story, you're going to have to figure out how to I'm just making suggestions on how you might get these details in. So the old Victorian I called home until I had to run for my life at age 19. I don't know. How old were you when you were accused of murder? Now, the trick here is that you're getting too many numbers. You're kind of inviting people to do math, which can get a little confusing, and it would probably be 19. Again, I'm not a copy editor. I'm a line and developmental editor, so a copy editor would tell you whether it should be the number or the written out. I believe written out is right. I stand in the dark on the broken pavement of the sidewalk. So again, opportunity. I stand in the dark in my heels, right? Or in my loafers. I don't know. That might not be the place to put in the detail, but again, someone who's wearing stilettos is different than someone who's barefoot. Little details. You can start to tell us about this character by things like what kind of shoes are they wearing. Your choice, of course, that might not be the right place to drop in those details, but again, we want to start hinting at male or female, old or young, like all of these things. I think that's all I have for this. Again, I think it asks interesting questions. It poses a main character whose name we don't have yet, and that's okay, though it would be nice to get it in soon, even if it's not on the first page. We get that Granny Grace was a big part of their life. This person has been accused of murder. They're coming back. I think you have a really good start to a story here. And if you can just lean into a few of the opportunities to clarify a little bit, it'll be that much more engaging. So well done. I'm going to call this one finished. And for those of you watching, if you would like to have your story edited here on the Sit Right Here YouTube channel, please check out the link below in the comments of the video and send in your first page, and maybe next time it will be yours. Happy writing, everyone. See you soon.